Hey guys, welcome to Tuesday Talks with the Green Bay Doulas. I'm Emily Jacobson. So today I wanted to talk about how the cervix makes change. For anybody who actually knows me in real life outside of this interaction, you know that I'm a person who speaks a lot in pictures. I use a lot of analogies, a lot of metaphors, paint the pictures. I'm very good at painting pictures. So I want to show you how a balloon and a ping pong ball can help explain what your cervix is doing when you are expecting and nearing your due date. So, if we think of this balloon as this is the uterus and this is your cervix, as you can see, it's long, it's thick, and it's closed. If we do it that way, it's closed. So, what I'm going to do is blow up this balloon. So, you can see your uterus is growing throughout pregnancy. And by the time you are nearing your due date, your uterus is actually the size of a watermelon, where normally your uterus is about the size of an orange or like a small grapefruit. So again, now we are at your due date. We're just going to pretend so that I can keep it all in the picture frame here. But here's your uterus. Here is your cervix. Again, your cervix is long. It's hard. And I want to show you how contractions or Braxton Hicks affect your uterus. Now, one thing to remember that I think no one ever thinks about, for those of you who have had children before, and maybe when you're in labor, the doctor said to you, oh, I can feel the baby's head, but your cervix is behind that baby's head. So what's happening is, when they go in to check you, they're literally hitting here, and they can feel baby's head, but they have to reach around to get to the cervix. Quite uncomfortable. Some cervixes will stay posterior like this for your labor. Some will move anterior, and some are midline, and then some will also move anterior. So when they do a check, they're like, oh, the cervix is right there. So just so you guys know, if you've ever been told, like, put your fists under your hips and rotate that pelvis up, by rotating, you're hopefully trying to bring it a little more midline or this way. But eventually that cervix will melt away. But that can lead for some more uncomfortable checks if you are having a check done. Now, Braxton Hicks. Here's what I want to talk about. Braxton Hicks is kind of like your uterus going to the gym. It's going to work your uterus out a little bit, but you can see the cervix is still long and thick. Nothing's really changing here, right? So it's just going to the gym. It's warming up. The uterus is a giant muscle. And it's got to work out. It's got to get ready for the big day. It's training, right? I always say you're training for a marathon. Whether you walk it, run it, jog it, or sprint it, your birth is a marathon. So your uterus is just on a training path right now. Now, when we have an actual contraction, I want you to see how this changes. So the pressure comes from the top here. And as we have some pressure, things start to make some change. Now, if we talk about dilation and effacement in that sense, effacement is the percentage that you've thinned out. So if you're 0% effaced, that means you're very thick, long, just like this cervix is right now. As you start to thin out and dilate a little bit, it will change, whether it's 50%, 70, and I'll kind of talk you through this. So right now we can see that the cervix has made a little change. It's shortened a little bit. So now we're going to have another good contraction here. Okay, so now you can actually see the ping pong ball in there. You can actually see that the cervix has shortened up. Come back down here. That the cervix is shortened up a little bit, right? From the pressure of the contraction pushing baby down. So the cervix is shortening, it's thinning, and it's starting to dilate. Your cervix can't dilate unless you start to thin out and soften and open up. So as that uterus is working hard for contractions, eventually we kind of get to this point. Oh my gosh, where's the cervix? There's no more cervix left. So that means that you're probably about 70 to 90% effaced, maybe even 100% effaced. You're nice and short. The cervix has shortened up and you can start to really dilate. So this would be about a centimeter dilated, maybe 2 or 3 centimeters dilated, depending on your actual cervix. But I'm using a balloon, so it's all relative per se. But as we have these contractions, that cervix literally melts away, as you can see. And now you can see kind of a little bit of a baby's head. Sometimes the bag of waters will come through first. So when they check, they can be like, oh, you have a bulging bag of waters. Meaning the baby's there, but there's a big tuff of water right ahead of it that is sneaking out through the cervix before the baby's head is. So they may, give you the option if you want to have your water broken or ruptured. So this is what I'm talking about when we talk about the cervix. The cervix has so much to do. Nobody gives the cervix enough credit. And so we want to make sure that you understand that when you're prepping for an induction, when you are having an induction, your cervix has to do all this work up front. And sometimes it's in conjunction with labor, and sometimes it's not. Especially second, third, fourth time moms, you'll see that they'll be dilated for many weeks beforehand, or their cervixes are nice and short already. And that's because they've been doing a lot of this up front in the night, and it is exhausting. But this is a great way, and I don't want to be like expulsive here, but as that contraction keeps going, it's going to keep pushing baby down. And eventually, you're going to have a baby. Woo! There it is. So that is my little chat about cervixes and how important they are. And I hope you see the difference about how a cervix really truly has to thin out and shorten and then dilate. And so it has to do those three things. That's a lot of work. And I don't think people give cervixes enough credit. Now, when you are nice and short and thinned out, then you would be about, printer paper. Like 50% of face is about printer paper. Some people will use this trick where 0% feels like your forehead and kind of like cardboard in a sense, like the thickness of cardboard. Then 50% of face is kind of like your nose or your chin in a sense, if you feel that, or like printer paper. So it's not thick, but it's not really thin yet. And then 100% of face is like tissue paper or feeling your earlobe. So you can kind of get an idea of what that cervix needs to do in order to make sure that you have your baby. So that's our Tuesday Talks. I hope you have a great day.